also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well. But not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Birds and the BS, where we encourage you to actually take the advice you give your children. Today's letter comes from Allie in Alabama.
Local students who attended the March for Our Lives in Washington after the Parkland massacre showed up to the Capitol today to demand change. Christian Cordero is live at the Capitol, where Minnesota's gun owners.
Dear Mr. Jordan, my son is always playing with his gum and spitting it on the floor, so I've made a no gum in the house rule. My daughter says she always uses her gum responsibly, so it's still her right to chew. Should I let my daughter keep her gum?
It should be enough.
Henry Sibley Sr. Devin Bauer made the trip to Washington, D.C. in March and again to St. Paul today.
There's just nothing is changing. And it's heartbreaking to know that nothing is changing.
She's not the only one who wants change when it comes to school safety. Rob Dorr from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus does too.
I'm a father of 2 kids. I just want to make sure that every conceivable thing that we can do to keep them safe while they're at school is being done.
But they differ when it comes to universal background checks.
When you look at the most recent mass shootings, almost every single person has passed a background check.
The state's school safety bill doesn't address it.
So I asked you to take a look at this bill that Florida voted not to debate. They pitched this as an assault weapons ban. It was really targeted. And in fact, there's like 8 pages of guns that are banned in this bill, including some hunting rifles, including some shotguns, including some pistols.
Including some things that are not even close to what they would refer to as an assault weapon.
Allie, let me use an analogy to help with this one. Imagine for a moment that I am surrounded by people who play with their gun. With these people spitting bullets all over, would my mother still let me keep my gun? Here to answer that question is my favorite mother from live musicals on TV, Anna Gasteyer.
From more than 3,000 schools across the country, we're demanding change.
We're all here, we're all gathered together to show that we care, to show that we have voices. We're young people and we're passionate about what we have to say.
From Chicago,
Our voices demand change.
to Little Rock,
We just want to end gun violence. We should come to school to learn and not to lose our lives.
to Denver,
It's time to wake up.
and countless other towns and cities in between. Students walked out of their schools today at 10 a.m., 17-minute walkout. 1 minute for every life lost.
If I were using my gun the right way, but others weren't, would you still let me keep mine?
Of course not.
But I didn't do anything wrong.
It's a fair point you make. This was not your mistake. I'm a law-abiding son. Why take away my gun?
And it kills me to know that those students died today because their school and the government is not doing enough for us. And I don't want to have to ever be standing here again because my peers across the country died senselessly.
Whoa, that's pretty radical. Most of us are against assault weapons, but even we liberals can't go after the Second Amendment itself.
Why not?
I mean, we just don't. It's always, look, we're not saying we're coming for your guns.
Actually, now we are.
Wait, really?
Shouldn't, but you know what I always love about this is they always say it's common sense regulation, you know? Well, yeah, it's common sense. Common sense of guns. Gun safety is the new thing now instead of gun control, I've noticed. But they always say it's common sense legislation. Well, yeah, if you want to basically regulate semi-automatic rifles out of existence, and since that is generally the only acceptable position in the media, I will have to agree that it is common sense legislation.
You look at that list. That is a bait and switch lie.
Totally.
And you can show it and prove it every time.
And the media isn't savvy enough, because I saw a lot of people in the media when this bill was being discussed. The media isn't gun savvy enough to know that. I talked to some reporters and anchors who hadn't read it.
Even though there are a lot of people who use guns responsibly, the fun we get to have with them isn't worth the destruction they cause.
Exactly. You know, there's a lot of things we do that with.
Like lawn darts, Sudafed, and adopted animals are harder to get than a gun because of the actions of a few.
Exactly.
But what about safety? And guns for protection?
Allow me to issue a logic correction. A gun beneath your pillow makes you feel secure. Till you think your granny's a burglar, then it loses its allure. They say a good guy with a gun could stop a bad guy with a gun.
But neither has to die if neither one has one.
Let me tell you what Frederick Douglass said about the right of self-defense. Douglass strongly supported the right of fugitive slaves to have and use weapons to resist kidnapping. When government fails to protect the just right of any individual man, that man rests on his original right of self-defense, even if it means shooting down his pursuers. Slavery is a system of brute force. It must be met with its own weapons. He went on to say, that freedom was worth fighting for. Slaves plus guns equaled freedom. The abolition of slavery was inevitably due to the arming of blacks. Now, if you think for 1 minute that I'm going to cede these rights back to the federal government or any court, you better think again. Ladies and gentlemen, I will fight for your rights under this document like it were my right, and it is. And I will die fighting for this document. Thank you.